All right, going to go live in just a moment here, as soon as we get some people in. I got one person in. Let me just tweet out the stream real quick here. I'll let people know we're going live. We got a new queen crowned at flyweight this weekend. Couldn't be happier. We're going to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about regarding this win by Grasso. All right, tweet is sent. I got a couple notifications. Nothing. Okay. All right, that's enough of that. All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to the weekend recap for, March 3rd through the 5th of 2023. Everybody, the queen is dead. Long live the queen. Alexa Grasso defeated Valentina Shevchenko at UFC 285 this weekend via rear naked choke submission in the 4th round. I couldn't be happier. Got my Grasso shirt on tonight. I wasn't sure she could do it. That's why I didn't pick Grasso. I said on Saturday night that I wasn't sure she could do it, so I didn't pick Grasso to win. But I couldn't be happier. As a longtime Grasso fan and someone who doesn't particularly care for Valentina Shevchenko, this is great. And the best thing is the flyweight division now is wide open. Great things coming out of this weekend. First, let's start on Friday night, though. Friday night, one championship, one Friday, Fight 7 at Lumpini Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand. They had one ladies MMA bout at one atomweight. Soyul Kim defeated Saris Manfredi via submission due to guillotine choke, 4 minutes, 12 seconds of the first round. Kim climbed to 7-1. Manfredi fell to 0-1. I did a review on this. So this was Manfredi's MMA debut, but she had been competing in stand-up arts for many years before this. She was actually a part of the very first women's Muay Thai bout held in Lumpini Stadium. It wasn't in the stadium proper. They had to hold it in the freaking parking garage. That was just a couple of years, like 2 years ago, maybe less than 2 years ago. Lumpini finally opened up their restrictions on women fighters in the stadium. And Manfredi was a part of that history. So it made a lot of sense to book Manfredi there, but I think she should probably stick to the Muay Thai and kickboxing with one. Since she lives right there in Thailand, they can easily rebook her again, like real quick. For Soyul Kim, I believe this is 6 straight wins for her. Glad that she is in one. She was a part of the One Warrior series. The One Championship was having a pre-coup when Rich Franklin was going around to different countries, scouting out different fighters, and then having them all compete in Singapore in that weird theater-looking thing. And some of the winners would get picked. Some of them would have to come back and try again. It was a good series. I hope they eventually bring that back. But Soyul Kim was one of the products of that. And she had a couple fights outside of that since then to keep active. She fought once in 2021 back in South Korea. And then she went to Japan last year in November, picked up a rear naked choke at 125 pounds. So she went up in weight for that one. In Shudo against Emiko Raika Emiko. And now she got this win here in her one championship debut in Shudo. So I'm glad to see her there. Listen, she can strike. She can submit opponents. She's got a pretty good all-around game. Her Her overall wrestling needs work, but that's definitely something that can be worked on. She can crack. We saw her opening punch was a big right hook that stunned Manfredi, and then got her down via body lock trip and passed her guard pretty easily enough. Once she got to half guard, she smooth. I mean, the transition to full mount was so smooth. So good to see Soyul Kim there, and choked her unconscious too. Manfredi, she tried to fight it and passed out en route. So it was a nice attempt though. So then we moved to Saturday. There wasn't a whole lot of action this weekend, by the way. Then we moved to Saturday, UFC 285. First ladies bout of the evening in strawweight. Tabitha Ricci defeated Jessica Penny via submission due to armbar 2:14 of the second round. Ricci climbed to 8-1. Penny fell to 14-7. So that was a really nice armbar. That was such a fast transition, like almost as soon in the second round, almost as soon as Ricci decided that she was going to engage on the ground with Penny, which she hadn't before. She was like mostly taking Penny down and then standing over her, kicking at the legs. But as soon as she finally decided to engage with Penny on the ground, the sub was there. Before that, she had picked apart Penny on the feet. Ricci was just so much faster there and was doing well in the clinch and taking Penny down almost at will and controlling her there. Really nice job for Tabitha Ricci. Now, for Ricci, I think it's time. She needs a step up in competition. She is now, I think, 3-0 at strawweight in the UFC. Yeah, she's defeated Maria Oliveira, then Poliana Viana, both of those by decision. Now she's got her first finish in the UFC against a tough veteran and former title challenger in Jessica Penne. And I think it's time for a step up for her. For Penne, probably time to retire. I mean, let's be honest. She's 40 years old, and she was never fast. Even in her prime, she was never a particularly fast fighter. But, man, she just looked so slow in there. And part of that was just how fast Tabitha Ricci was. But she looked really, really slow in there. After almost 4 years off, she's 2-2 since April of 2021. She beat Lupita Godinez via split decision and then defeated Karolina Kowalkiewicz via armbar. Since then, she lost a decision to Emily Ducote last year and then now lost to Tabitha Ricci. And she's had a bunch of canceled fights too. Some of them were her withdrawing, some of them weren't. Yeah, I like Jessica Penne. I was cheering for her. I was hoping she'd pull out the win, but I think it's just time for her to call it a day. I mean, maybe take one or two more fights against obviously unranked opposition, because that's really all she can compete with nowadays. And even then, she's having a hard time competing. But maybe get a couple fights in, get what money you can, get what sponsor money you can, and then call it a day. Do BJJ classes, do seminars, whatever you got to do. But she's not competitive anymore. She's just not. Tonight's stream is brought to you by caffeine and high fructose corn syrup. Let me enlarge these. Oh, wait. Did I forgot a fight. So, pardon that. By the way, the chat's open, and please hit the like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. But next fight on the card, Amanda Ribas defeated Viviane Araújo via decision. It was decision, right? Yep, unanimous decision. Hebos climbed to 11-3. Our Ujo fell to 11-5. This is not the prettiest of fights, that's for darn sure. I mean, this was a slow bit here. Ujo failed her once again. So our Ujo's gas tank failed her again because of heavy grappling. This time it was actually a reason for it to fail because she got involved in really heavy grappling in the second round against Hebos, and that's when it failed her. It was after the heavy grappling. I thought she was beating Hebos up on the feet in the first round, and Hebos was hurt a couple times. And but she made the adjustments in the second round, came out and employed a more grappling heavy game plan. And also Hebos started to find her range better. And it paid off for her in the second and third round. But yeah, Arujo's tank failed her once again. Hebos, talking about Hebos, man, she still gets hit entirely too much. She gets hit entirely too much. Takes way too many punches straight to the face. I don't know how hard it is for her to tuck her chin. And that's one of the first things that should be taught your first day in the gym. Proper stance and tuck your chin. She fights with her chin like way out, waiting for people to hit her. And Arujo hit her. She was lucky. Hebos got lucky. Maybe she's not as chinny at 125 as she is at 115. But she's lucky. She ate some hard pounds. I don't know what's going on with my internet. But yeah, she got lucky tonight. Or on Saturday night, that she didn't get knocked out again. Like I said, she might not be as chinny at flyweight, or maybe Arujo was just off, just doesn't have the power that she used to. But I'd be worried about, if I was Hebos's team, I'd be worried about her at flyweight because there's some hard hitters there. After the fight, Hebos said she wants to face one of the top 5 at flyweight, or if she goes back to strawweight, she wants to fight Carla Esparza. Okay, calling out the top 5 at flyweight, I don't have a problem with that. But I think calling out Carla Esparza at strawweight's a bit weak. Granted, Esparza is currently ranked number 1 at strawweight, but yeah, your last 2 fights were at flyweight, where you're 1-1 there. Why would they give you the number 1 strawweight? Second, why are you calling out someone coming off a loss? And this is the same thing. Like, everybody goes for who they think is the weakest and the easiest to beat. It's like, I'm so tired of fighters calling out potential opponents that they think are the easiest and weakest to beat. And that's what everybody views Carla Esparza as right now at strawweight. She's like the easiest of the top 5 fighters to beat. She wasn't calling out Amanda Lemos, wasn't calling out Jessica Andrade or Marina Rodriguez again. Why not call, if you're going to go back to strawweight, try to get that win back against Marina Rodriguez. That's what I would be looking for. Or if you're going to call out someone in the top 5, if you say you want a top 5 flyweight, why not name names? You've got the former champ Shevchenko. You've got Manon Fiora. You've got Tyler Santos. You've got Erin Blanchfield. And you've got Jessica Andrade. She didn't name any names at flyweight. She named a strawweight. When it came to flyweight, she was vague. I thought that was, to me, that was really weak of her. That was weak. So now we move on to the main event. Like I said, the queen is dead. Long live the new queen. Alexa Grasso defeats Valentina Shevchenko via rear naked choke. 4 minutes, 34 seconds of the fourth round. Grasso, your new champ, climbs to 16-3. Valentina Shevchenko falls to 23-4. I did a live stream during this fight, a follow along, had some good times. It was fun. I still have to clip up my reaction to the actual win. Probably pretty funny on replay. But this was a good fight. This is a good fight. The judges had it 2-1 for Shevchenko after 3 rounds. They gave Valentina the first round, or they gave Grasso the first round. Shevchenko got the second and third round. So the fight was still up for grabs in the fourth round. And Alexa Grasso capitalized on Valentina, throwing that kick, and hopped on the back, went straight to the ground. And like I said, watching it, I'm still not sure if that was Grasso forcing Shevchenko to the ground, like because of just how fast she jumped on the back and the weight. If that was Shevchenko going to the ground to try to defend the choke, I'm not sure. But she had the choke on, like, almost. I think she was going for it before it actually hit the ground. And it was fast. Like it was on there. Now it was not under the chin, but it was so tight. I'm not sure if any of y'all have seen the pictures yet, and I'll try to find it on my profile. That choke was so tight that they caught snapshots of it afterwards. That the choke was so tight that afterwards there was a big white line going across Shevchenko's jaw and neck where Grasso's arm was squeezing, and everything else was like a deep red, almost purple. I'm trying to find a picture of it. Might take me a second. Maybe I didn't retweet it, or maybe it's gone already. Trying to find it. Here it is. So we're going to stop sharing that and go back here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up. Look at that. Look at how red Shevchenko was from the mouth up and then down from here. That's how tight that was. So, a lot of people talk about, it wasn't under the neck. You don't always have to be underneath the neck on the rear naked choke. That's one thing that's forcing your jaw back, and it's creating immense pressure. But also, you can still choke someone out if you squeeze that jaw hard enough that it cuts off your back of your jaw, goes into those 2 blood vessels there, those major arteries and veins, and it'll cut off circulation to your brain. You'll go out. Like Judy V in the chat says, the choke was nasty. It was that tight. And Shevchenko, I saw someone mention this. Like, you can tell she wasn't used to tapping out, because she was like, kind of like, is that how I do it? Like, she tapped once and then a second time and then like a third time as the referee was finally intervening, almost like she didn't know how to respond. And yeah, that was insane. So that's how tight that was. So let me bring that other thing back up, because y'all don't really want to look at my face the whole time. Don't stop me. All right, so some notes I have here on the keys to victory for Grasso. And these are things that I got just watching the fight again. And I'm still working on my review of the fight. I am going to try to put it out. All right. So some of Grasso's keys. She came out fast and aggressive and really took it to Shevchenko. And Shevchenko is not used to fighters coming at her fast and aggressive. Like, yes, she is a counter striker, but she is used to fighters like kind of like staying outside and throwing one strike at her and then or one or two and then waiting for her to react. Grasso really took the fight to her, and Grasso was fast. So Shevchenko wasn't used to facing someone who was fast and was just going to come out and absolutely take the fight to her. She also kept backing Shevchenko up to the fence. And I made note of that during the live stream, that, yeah, she's backing her up to the fence and was kind of dictating where she was going. And that left Shevchenko, that took some tools out of Shevchenko's bag, because she's not used to just getting straight backed up to the fence. And for someone like Shevchenko, who tends to just move back in a lateral line, like back and forth, like forward and backwards, once you back to the fence, you don't have anywhere else to go. It also takes away some of the weapons that Shevchenko likes to throw. It's a lot harder to perform spinning strikes when you're backed up to the fence. And we all know, and as we all saw during the fight, Shevchenko loves spinning stuff. Jack Slack pointed this out on Twitter and in his podcast. And shout out to Jack Slack. He's a straight up Valentina hater. Mostly he hates Valentina's fans. But I'm going to bring this up here. One sec. Grasso used the empty half guard to escape from the crucifix and side control. And I'll bring that up here in just a second. If it'll let me. All right. This is kind of hard to see here, but it says Grasso using the empty half to stop Shevchenko advancing to mounted crucifix. And when Shevchenko's knee slides out, Grasso beats the crossface and starts turning to her knees. So I'm not familiar with that empty half, but so there's Grasso spinning there. And that's how she escaped. Okay, so see how she grabs her legs and is like, it looks like half guard, except she doesn't have the leg. So she uses that to get out from the crucifix, which that was a big key. She was well prepared for that crucifix. And then as Shevchenko had to give up on the crucifix, Grasso used the cage and spun out from it. So when her knee slides out, she said, when her knee slides out, like I said, I'm not that familiar. Like, I'm not a heavy BJJ guy, but that was key, apparently. What else? Oh, yeah, Grasso really prepped hard for the body lock takedowns, which Shevchenko gets in every fight. And Shevchenko loves, for someone who is a master of sport in judo, she loves one takedown more than anything else. She loves the head and arm throw, which is the most basic bitch upper body takedown in MMA. And it only seems to work in the ladies' divisions, which is not a good look for the ladies, by the way. But Shevchenko loves that takedown. She's a lot like just like PVZ and Michelle Watterson. She loves the head and arm throw, and it usually works for her. But here's the thing: eventually, fighters are going to see how much you love it and prepare for it. So, really takedowns and the body lock takedowns, which then forced Shevchenko to go for the double leg takedowns. Now, Shevchenko got the double leg takedowns. That's because Grasso wasn't prepared for that. Shevchenko never goes for double leg takedowns, so you don't really prepare for them that much. So she literally forced Shevchenko to change her game up in major ways. And this goes back to, I keep alluding to this. Grasso studied Shevchenko like crazy. And they talked about this after the fight. They studied the heck out of her. And they knew that how much she loves throwing that spinning back kick and used it against her. And it worked so well. And here I'm gonna share a tweet again with a GIF. And you've probably seen this already. You've probably already seen this going around. It says Alexa Grasso was really practicing this belt-winning move for her whole camp. And this is backstage before the fight. You can see it says Las Vegas there. But literally, watch what's happening. Inside low kick. Here comes a spinning back kick. Right to the back. She sidestepped it, went straight to the back. And actually, she got the choke and got Shevchenko to the ground faster and got the choke faster than what she did here with her coach. There it goes. Spinning back kick straight to the back. So, yeah, Alexa was extremely well prepared for this. Judy V says Valentina underestimated Alexa. I think so too. Listen, Shevchenko has a lot of fans out there, but man, they love to deny her arrogance. And I think she was starting to smell her own farts too much, starting to enjoy the smell of her own farts. And she wasn't really doing anything new in her game. If she was constantly evolving her game, she'd have had something more. But that's just it. She doesn't have much else. She's always doing the same things. And I gotta mention, I talked about this. And I had forgotten that I had mentioned this when I did my announcement video on the fight. I talked about Valentina doing the same things over and in every fight. And when you do that, you get predictable. And fighters are going to study it. And let me see if I can find it. But I brought receipts. So I'm going to put my headphone in because you should be able to hear this better if I wear my headphones. So here's the video I made back in, over a month ago. Well, it says 1 month ago. I'm not sure when I published it. But Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, official for UFC 285, March 4th. Camp. And Grasso finally getting a shot at a title. So let's listen to this for a second. At strawweight. Came up to flyweight and has just been looking better with each and every fight. And really did a great job in her last fight against our. I'll get to it in a second. I should be able to find it eventually, but
All the Shevchenko fans can stop their crying because now she's finally scheduled for a fight. All the Grasso fans are going to be a little bit apprehensive here.
Yeah, that's true.
To be honest, as a Grasso fan, I'm a little apprehensive.
Yeah,
I'm glad that she's getting a title shot, but this is a tough fight for her. It's a very tough fight. I would say one advantage that Grasso has over Shevchenko is going to be the speed.
In the chat.
She's definitely a faster fighter than Shevchenko.
And she was.
Shevchenko has the experience. She has the groundwork. Now, Grasso has improved her ground game a lot, but working from almost nothing to where she's at now, it's going to be hard against, a master sport in judo like Shevchenko.
But I'm going to pause it here. She had obviously prepared well for this fight because she was doing really well on the ground. Shevchenko really wasn't getting a whole lot done when she had Alexa on the ground.
Striking wise, of course, we know their styles. Shevchenko is a Muay Thai stylist, very much she's a counter fighter. I mean, she's not going to get aggressive until she smells blood. And basically it has to be like right there in front of her. Like she has to see the finish for Shevchenko to go for the finish. Grasso, leans more into being aggressive, although she's also willing to counter. More of a boxer style than kickboxer, of course.
Which I should mention, she mostly only stuck to inside low kicks starting the fight. I think she threw a couple kicks to the body, or maybe even threw a spinning kick herself. But for the most part, Grasso stuck to the inside low kick.
It'll be good to watch. I'm looking forward to this one.
And it was a good fight too. It was a good fight.
We'll see just how far along Grasso has really become. And there is some rumblings that maybe Shevchenko is starting to reach, the downslide.
And we'll get to that in a second. Shev. Downslide. Let me write that down on my notes here. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
A lot of people have been thinking that for a while. She lost a round to Maya. And a lot of people didn't see that one coming. And then along came Tyler Santos. Now,
yep.
And a lot of people think Santos won.
A lot of people still think Santos won.
If you disagree, that's fine. It's on you. I don't care what your thoughts are. I think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be better than a lot of people are giving Grasso credit for. I think.
Yeah, a lot of people were giving Grasso no credit into this fight. No credit. And I'll tell you what, the people that bet on Grasso won big. I think the odds of her winning by submission were like plus 6,000. So if you were to bet $100 on Grasso winning by submission, you would have walked home with like $6,000, which is nuts.
I think this crop of flyweights, this new crop of flyweight challengers is going to be taking it to the champ now. I think she's going to have to work a lot harder even than she used to in order to stay on top.
Yep. She's now going to have to work.
And let's be honest here. I think I've seen even some of the most ardent Shevchenko supporters admit that she can be predictable at times.
Here we go. This is what I was talking about. She can get predictable at times.
Like she tends to work in patterns. She tends to stick to the same things over and over again so that she can be predictable. Now, whether or not Grasso will be able to take advantage of that.
She did.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'll be cheering for Grasso all the way.
All right, so that's enough boasting. But yeah, I called it. And I had forgotten that I had called it. Shevchenko is getting predictable. She does the same things over and over again. Now, granted, you have to really prep for that. And you have to be able to execute in the fight. And that's what Grasso did. I mentioned all these keys to her win. she had prepared very well for Valentina, and her team studied very well. And that's the thing. When you've got a lot of fights like Shevchenko does and a lot of championship fights, the tape is out there on you. And when you work in predictable ways, when you work in the same patterns, when you pull off the same things in every fight, it's going to catch up to you. It's going to catch up to you. So, yeah, everything caught up to her, to Valentina. And Grasso was able to execute the right things to throw her off of her game. People were saying, oh, Valentina did not look like herself. Well, credit to Alexa. She threw Valentina off of her game. Also, I forgot to write it down. Grasso came out in southpaw stance, and I didn't even pick up on it during the fight. But when your opponent is expecting you to come out and fight one way, and they prepared for an orthodox fighter, and then you come out in southpaw, that's really going to throw them off, because everything they prepped for starts going out the window. Now, granted, Valentina has faced southpaw fighters before, but it's one thing to have faced it before and another thing to have prepared for it in that particular fight. So you've got a southpaw fighter, a fighter that you thought was going to fight orthodox, comes out southpaw and starts out aggressive and really taking it to you and isn't afraid of your counter strikes. It's going to start throwing you off. Then when you're having a hard time getting the upper body takedowns that you're used to, that's going to throw you off too. Credit to Valentina. She made the in-fight adjustments and started going for the double legs, and that worked. But she still kept going for the spinning stuff over and over and over again. And Alexa waited till she was right by the fence, threw that lazy. It was a lazy spinning back kick too. Threw a lazy spinning back kick, saw her opportunity, had prepared for it right in that moment, took her back, and choked her out. So a lot of people are trying to make excuses for Shevchenko, but no, this is about giving credit to Alexa Grasso. This is a Grasso celebration party on this stream tonight. Now, again, people are talking about, is Shevchenko on a downslide? She just turned 35. She might be slowing down a little bit, but it hadn't hurt her up until now. I mean, she had only lost a single round at flyweight, a single round before the Taila Santos fight. Taila Santos had prepped pretty well too, but even she couldn't get it done. She couldn't get it done. I mean, Santos was on Shevchenko's back for a lot of that fight. She couldn't get that choke in. Now, granted, she didn't get the back and put on the choke as fast as Grasso did, but she had a lot of time to get it done, and she was unable to do that. So, yeah, I mean, Shevchenko might be slowing down, but I think it's more as in the division is catching up to her. And Alexa Grasso caught up to her. So I'm not taking away. No, I'm not. I refuse to take away any credit for Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, from Alexa Grasso. This is her win. This is her moment. Mexico as their first UFC women's champion. So far, we've had USA, Brazil, China, Poland, and Kyrgyzstan with Valentina. And yeah, that's it. So out of over 10 years, it's been 10 years since women were introduced to the UFC, and across 3 or 4 divisions, we'll say 4, there's been USA, 1, Brazil, Poland, Kyrgyzstan, and China. Only 5 countries have had women's champions. before that. Now Mexico is 6. So good on Alexa Grasso. So now the question becomes, you'll see, you see it down. Is Alexa Grasso. So let's pull up the rankings real quick here. All right, so looking at women's flyweight, and these are the updated rankings. By the way, never check the UFC rankings until like Tuesday. They are going to change on Sunday. They're going to change multiple times on Monday. Never bother with the rankings until Tuesday, because that's when they're truly finalized. They constantly update the website with every little revision, and it throws people off. So, looking at women's flyweight, you got Grasso, the champ, moving Valentina Shevchenko down to 1. Now, I do not agree with a former champion being at number 1. And here's why. And I've talked about this before, but here's why. If you have the champion outside of the rankings or above the rankings, as it were, number 1 should be the number 1 contender. Myself, I don't view a former champion who just got finished as the automatic number 1 contender. I think they should be down around like 4 or 5. But I'm not on the rankings panel, so, and even if I was, I'd probably be outnumbered as far as that goes. So you got Valentina Shevchenko at number 1, likely going to do the rematch because she was a long-reigning or somewhat long-reigning dominant champion with 7 defenses. Number 2, this is the most likely one. The second most likely fight I see happening is down here at number 4, Erin Blanchfield. Listen, the hype behind Blanchfield is huge. There are literally people saying that Blanchfield, Luke Thomas said this on Morning Combat. And I think he's buying into the hype a little bit too much myself. Luke Thomas feels that Erin Blanchfield beats both Shevchenko and Grasso at this stage. I'm not so sure. Yeah, she just came off of destroying Jessica Andrade, but that was also a Jessica Andrade who took the fight on a week's notice or 2 weeks' notice. So I'm not taking away that win from Blanchfield, but it does have, an asterisk next to it. Like, there is some context behind that win of Blanchfield over Andrade. So I would say the second most likely fight for Grasso is going to be Erin Blanchfield. Third would probably be Manon Fiorot. But here's the thing. She didn't want the champion after beating the then number 1 fighter, Katlyn Chookagian, who's been moved down to number 6, by the way. She didn't want to face the champion after beating Chookagian. She called out Grasso, who was like number 6 at the time, 5 or 6. And then more recently, she talked about wanting to face Rose Namajunas if Rose comes to flyweight. So if she didn't want to face the champ after she beat the number 1 contender, I don't think she should get to face her now. No, I don't think Manon should get a title shot right now. She's coming off of injury anyway. Then you have number 3, Taila Santos. They're not going to give her the shot because she's coming off a loss. So here's what I would like to see. I'd like to see Grasso versus Blanchfield. So champ versus number 4. I realize it's a bit far off, but Blanchfield has the hype behind her. She really started building the hype behind her with beating Molly McCann and then taking out Jessica Andrade like that. Yeah, you're going to make waves. So Shevchenko or Grasso versus Blanchfield. For the number 1 contender fight, I'd like to see the rematch, Shevchenko versus Santos. Shevchenko didn't want to face Santos. even though Santos was calling her out. She's like, no, she has to go get a win. Well, guess what? I think they both need a win right now. Yeah, Shevchenko was a long reigning champion, but she got submitted in the championship rounds. Those are the rounds it should be the hardest to submit someone because you're sweating, you're slippery. It should be that much harder to submit someone in the championship rounds. And but Grasso got it done then. So Santos coming off a loss, Shevchenko coming off a loss. Let's do that rematch. Winner of Shevchenko versus Santos gets the winner of Grasso versus Blanchfield. Manon Fiorot, she can go kick rocks for all I care. Because you beat the number one contender, but you don't want to face the champ right away. You can go kick rocks. So we did have some people, some fighter reactions. Some fighters were jawing, running their mouth, and we had some congratulations too. So let's talk about that for a second here. I wish I could go from sharing one screen to sharing another, but it won't let you. So enjoy looking at my face for a second. Courtesy of WMMA rankings on Instagram. Here's some congratulations. Jennifer Maya says, I was happy with Alexa's victory. I followed her since Invicta FC because they were both in Invicta at the same time. And I think she's a great athlete. I knew she could pose a danger to Valentina. She shows that no one is invincible. So that's high praise. High praise from a former Invicta flyweight champ and former title challenger herself, Jennifer Maya. And here's high praise from a former title challenger as well. Lauren Murphy says, no, it was not an upset to me. I thought Grasso had a great chance. Well-rounded, great cardio, great team. I thought she had a great chance. I think the part where she says, great team, that's one of the biggest things. And listen, I don't particularly care for her, but I got to give Macy Barber credit. She keeps her name out there, and she keeps people talking about her, even at the most unexpected times. She was on Twitter, said, congratulations, Alexa Grasso, and new. I'll be coming for my rematch soon. Where's she at right now in the rankings? Barber is at number 13. She's about to face number 11, Andrea Lee. Good luck getting that rematch, Macy. But hey, hats off to her. She's keeping her name out there. And she did have a good third round against Alexa Grasso. She had Grasso hurt in the third round of their fight, but it wasn't enough to win. Then here we have the Mallard herself. Manon Fiorot says, the last 12 months, I say I'm better than Valentina, so it's not a surprise for me. Congratulations to Alexa. Good job. For me, same plan. Finish my rehab. I smash all the division. I think I'll be ready to fight in August. August is a long way away. That's 5 months from now. I don't think Alexa's going to sit out till August. I really don't. And here's the thing, Manon, Ms. Mallard. Last 12 months, you say you're better than Valentina. Why didn't you call her out immediately after your win over Chukagian? You didn't. You could have called Valentina out right after your win. You should have called her out in the ring after your fight against Chukagian. You beat the number one contender. Who did you call out at the time? You called out the number 5 or number 6, Alexa Grasso, whatever she was ranked at the time. You didn't call out the champion. You didn't call out Valentina Shevchenko. And this was before it came out about your injury. This was right after the fight ended. No one knew about your injury yet. You didn't even know about how serious your injury was. Oh, you say you could beat her. You say you're better than her. You didn't call her out. You started calling out other fighters. So I don't want to hear this crap. Even if she was saying it beforehand, I don't want to hear it now from you. because you did not call her out when you had the prime opportunity to do so. You ducked. Straight up. Manon Fiora ducked. And I'm going to keep saying that. I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. And I don't like to accuse fighters of ducking. I think the term's overused. And I think a lot of people look for every opportunity to call fighters ducks. Like, there are people saying that Tyler Santos ducked Aaron Blanchfield. It's like, no, it's documented. Her two cornermen got denied their visas. What's she supposed to do? Show up to fight and just bring in two cornermen that weren't familiar with her for a freaking important match? That's silly. So Manon, I even responded to this too. I said, yeah, she said she could beat her, but has been calling out everyone but the former champ. She's a clown and a duck. And I actually got a warning from IG before I posted that too. Like, are you sure you want to do that? I was like, heck yeah. I said, hell yeah. So yeah, going back to the rankings. Grasso's the champ. Shevchenko at 1. Fiora at 2. Santos at 3. Blanchfield at 4. Let's do Grasso versus Blanchfield. Shevchenko versus Santos. Winner of that fight faces the winner of Grasso versus Blanchfield. And I think Grasso beats Blanchfield. Plenty of tape on there of Blanchfield. And I think Grasso should be able to get it done against her. All right. I had a couple things. All right, moving on. So, this weekend, Combate Global returns. You might have seen the short video made on this, but Combate Global is back. We have a ladies' bout. I'm not sure if this is scheduled for atom weight or straw weight. It should be at atom weight. They've both fought there before. But Irene Cabello Rivera is taking on Jade Gironde, France versus Spain. This Saturday night, Combate Global. If you're in the U.S., Paramount Plus or Univision if you in Espanol. This should be a fun one. Rivera has been out since 2019. I think she's had some injuries, but she's been training a lot. Like, she trains at Jackson Wink, so she should be ready. She's the more experienced fighter. Gironde is only like 2-2, has like less than half the experience of Rivera. This should be a fun one. Both of these ladies come out to throw down. They both like to crack. So this should be fun. I'm looking forward to this. And I'm a Gironde fan. I think she has a lot of potential if she gets her ground game down. Now, she can already throw. She can kickbox. We've seen that. Her last fight, her opponent wanted nothing to do with her after one exchange. The first exchange in the first round, her opponent decided, I want nothing to do with her, and just would not engage. And Jade was forced to chase her the entire fight. But we know she can crack on the feet. If she can get her ground game down, I think she has potential. And she's very young, too. She's... Let's see. Jade Gironde, come on. She's 22 years old. So very young and has a lot of opportunity to grow. And she has a good background. So should be good. Also, here's some important news. I've got some Invicta news. And I'm not sure this is supposed to be spilled yet. But let me change the screen here. Don't stop me now. Invicta atomweight Monique Adriani posted to Instagram yesterday. It says camp on fire. 3rd of May. Denver, Colorado. Don't know what the rest of that says, but at Invicta FC. So Invicta in May, on May 3rd. That's a Wednesday. You know what that Friday is as well? One Championship's debut in the U.S. in Denver. Well, technically Broomfield, which is like a suburb of Denver. Invicta's having an event the same week as One Championship. I already got my ticket to one. I'm definitely going to Invicta 2. As soon as I can, I'm putting in my application for credentials to Invicta. I've already got my trip planned. For the most part, I can't wait for this. And this is something I talked about earlier. I had talked about this a few months ago when, as soon as One Championship announced their debut in the U.S. for May on a Friday, and I was like, holy crap, this lines up perfectly for Invicta because they've been having their events in Denver. I guess Denver is basically Invicta's new home. Like, no more Kansas City. They moved on to Colorado. But here we go. I'm going to share this. Look, here's a video I made. I said, One Championships, U.S. debut, an opportunity for Invicta. So this is great for Invicta. This is a great opportunity because you're going to have so much media already there covering One Championship's debut. Man, I might not even be able to get credentials. I better apply now. Yeah, this is great. You've got a whole bunch of people going to Denver for One Championship. You've got all the One Championship people there. Invicta should invite some of the like VIPs from One to the event. Probably get some more media coverage as well, because if the MMA media is going to have them there covering one, they might as well cover two events and get their money's worth. You know, that's two events for the price of one trip. Very smart. And it's just a good way for Invicta to get eyes on them. This is like just as smart as a time way back when Invicta was on Fight Pass and International Fight Week was an actual thing other than just a glorified UFC expo. Invicta had an event, their one and only event in Las Vegas was at the Tropicana during International Fight Week. And I think that was one of their events that like genuinely sold out. So it got them a lot of exposure at the time. This should be able to get Invicta a lot of exposure as well. So hats off to Shannon Knapp and the people at Invicta. Maybe they planned this all along. I doubt I had any. I'm not one of those like narcissistic YouTubers that thinks that everybody's stealing their ideas or thinks that everybody's watching them. Like I've got like barely have 5,000 people subs. So I doubt people are paying too much attention to me, although I did tag them a lot on this. But this was a smart opportunity for Invicta, and I'm glad that they saw the opportunity in this. It's a great idea. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So that's really all I have. Gone just about an hour. Let's go to the chat here. Judy V says, do I think a rematch? They probably will. They probably will. Like I said, I'd prefer Grasso versus Blanchfield and Shevchenko versus Santos, with the winner facing the winner of Grasso versus Blanchfield. But UFC usually gives those dominant champions rematches. Judy says, Alexa did a great job. Happy for the new Mexican champ. Elijah Grant says Valentina Shevchenko should get a rematch, and she probably will. Judy says, I'm conflicted, have both countries' blood. Are you talking about Spain and France for the Combate fight? That's it for the chat. By the way, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. It's been a good stream. Yep, Judy says Spain and France. I think that's all I had. Let me check. Yeah, that's all I really had for tonight. Like, I didn't want to go too deep into it. I'm going to stay up and try to finish some fight reviews. Probably not going to happen, but I'm going to try. Let's see. Anything else I want to talk about? No, that's it. So we're going to wrap this up real quick. Music playing? Yep. So thank you to everyone for tuning in, particularly everyone who was in the chat, Judy and Elijah Grant. And thank you to any and all new people that watched. Had a great time tonight. It was great. I'm still riding high from Grasso's win. It was that great to watch and witness. Probably going to be riding high all this week because of that. So thank you, Alexa. Like I keep saying, you know, if you like the content, please hit that like button. It draws people to the stream, even on the playback. And if you like the content, consider subscribing. And everyone have a good night. Grasso rules. All hail the queen. And we'll see you next time. And all the Shevchenkos cry.